The John Thomas family of Block Island. Part 3. Little Red House. When John Thomas volunteered for the Civil War, Susan was left to care for their 3 young sons. Their eldest son, George, was 8 years old, and their youngest son, Reuben, 6 months. Daughter Lily was born at the end of the war, in 1864, Justin in 1866, and John, their 6th child, in 1868. Sometime before 1870, the family moved to Fairhaven, Massachusetts. They settled into a farmland area similar to Block Island, near a small coastal town. Susan's sister Lou Vicey and brother-in-law, Reuben, were residing there, having left Block Island shortly after the Civil War. Not a lot is known about their time in Fairhaven. The U.S. Census shows John as a farm laborer, a change from his prior occupation as a carpenter. It also records his nearby neighbor as a farmer from Block Island, Percival Littlefield, with his wife Anne. While in Fairhaven, 2 children were born into the Thomas family, Charles in 1870, Clara in 1873. Their stay in Fairhaven was not long, and shortly after Clara was born, the family was back on Block Island by 1875. They settled into a small home, known to islanders now as the Little Red House. It was adjacent to the Martin Ball family on Red Gate Farm. Both properties faced north with a full view of the Great Salt Pond and the ocean beyond. The Balls' home, next door, was destroyed by fire in 1878. John likely worked on construction of the new house, completed in 1880. To supplement his carpenter income, John leased a section of the Great Salt Pond for harvesting shellfish and herring.
It is hoped that some capitalists will soon secure this opportunity, which is now in the hands of Mr. John Thomas, who well understands how to secure there an abundance of valuable herring, shad, and shellfish, but lacks the means to accomplish the work necessary. He has a 15-year lease of the pond from the town, and from it has derived some revenue in his spring catch of herrings.
Shortly after settling into the Little Red House, their 9th child, Ernest, was born. The family now had 7 sons and 2 daughters. Son Reuben became a fisherman. During the early summer of 1880, Reuben aspired to travel the seas as a merchant seaman. In August, while in Liverpool, England, he contracted typhoid, a common scourge among sailors then. He was brought to the Walton Workhouse Infirmary in London and passed away in late August. He was 18 years old when he was laid to rest in nearby Walton Park Cemetery. The following year, in 1881, son George found work on Nantucket Island. He was hired as a mason by Charles H. Robinson and Company, a well-known builder of Victorian-style homes becoming popular on the island. His father, John, also found work on an island close by, Tuckernuck, a desolate area in comparison to Nantucket, and sparsely populated. John may have lived with the Robert King Dunham family, whose son Marcus was building the first, maybe only hotel ever built on Tuckernuck, the East End View House. On Monday, May 16, in 1881, urgent information was received in Nantucket for John that his 2 young sons had drowned on the prior Saturday. 2 men were dispatched to Tuckernuck to deliver the sad message. Unfortunately, weather conditions delayed John's ability to join his son George on Nantucket that evening.
Owing to the inclemency of the weather, they were unable to proceed farther than Smith's Point and landed for the night. The following day, Captain Thomas was landed on Smith's Point and walked to town, arriving in the afternoon, and with his son, is now awaiting an opportunity to leave for home. The 2 children drowned were aged respectively 12 and 6, and were sailing in a boat which their father had fitted up for them.
John and George likely reunited with the rest of the family by Wednesday. On that day, the Newport Daily News published the story of the sad event. On Saturday last, our community was startled with the sad intelligence of drowning in the Great Salt Pond of John and Ernest, sons of John Thomas, of this place, aged respectively 12 and 5 years. While out in a sailboat, a flaw of wind came, and while in the act of getting her on land, she was overturned, and the occupants were thrown out, and the boat sank. The sad affair was witnessed by 2 individuals on the shore, and no boat in readiness to put out to their rescue. Nothing could be done to save them from their untimely end. The body of the oldest boy was recovered a short time after the accident, and the body of the youngest was found the next morning. Much sympathy is expressed for the grief-stricken parents in their bereavement. The beautiful vista of the pond from the little red house became a painful reminder of their loss. Looking west from their house, they could see their son's obelisk gravestone near the top of the hill in the island cemetery. Older brother Reuben's name was added to it as a remembrance. Thomas family lore has it that this is why the family left New Shoreham to find a new home on Nantucket Island. Near the turn of the century, their son Justin would return with his new bride Emma, and another generation of the Thomas family would make Block Island their home.